everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out, and definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. The naked narcissist. No, the naked covert narcissist. What are some signs of narcissism that you need to be aware of? In today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 signs of covert narcissism. A narcissist is a being that will always cause you devastating emotional pain. Always, not sometimes, not occasionally, not perhaps, but always. But even when I say that, it's worse than that. That doesn't even really touch it. A narcissist is a soul sucker. Or you know what is a good way to describe a narcissist? For anybody that knows Harry Potter, they're like a dementor. So for those of you that don't know, a dementor is a creature in Harry Potter, and they come on the scene and they cause absolute devastation and despair to the other characters. So what happens is they'll come on the scene and all light is gone. So the sun goes away, it's just dark and stormy and cloudy, and the characters know something terrible, like they feel it, they panic, it's gray and black, and they start running for their lives. And the creatures come, the dementors, they come and they push them down, and you can see them. It looks like they're, like in the movie, it looks like they're taking the breath out of the characters. You know, like when you're breathing out when it's cold and you can see it, it's like that. So they'll be above the character, they'll push it on the ground, and they'll just suck the life out of them. What they're doing is they're sucking the happiness, the joy, the peace, the contentment, everything positive within that character. The dementor feeds on it. You know, it's like they're a parasite, and that's how it is. A narcissist feeds on us. They take our happiness, our joy, our peace. They're vile creatures, and they glory in despair. They drain us of hope, happiness, success. If you get too close to a narcissist, you will have your world destroyed. You're going to be left with nothing but horrific experiences, trauma, PTSD, and you will become an empty shell of the person that they used to be. So let's go ahead and talk about the 5 signs these are right off the top of my head. You know, I didn't always know what narcissism was. I was married. This is the thing, like, it's when you think about it, and I know this is not a unique experience. I was married for close to 20 years. I didn't know what narcissism was, but it's even worse than that. I grew up with a narcissist as well. My father's a narcissist. And this is pretty common to many people. You know, this is all you know. Like, I grew up this way. This was normal. What happened to me that was very difficult was that my father is an overt narcissist. My ex is a covert. So they have some differences. So now, like I said, I didn't know what narcissism was, but I did know my father was a jerk. So I did not want to be with anyone like my father. Like, that was like a conscious effort that I had. So when I met my ex, he seemed so different. He was kind and nice and sweet, and I didn't know he was love bombing me. I didn't know there was this thing called that. All I knew was that he wasn't so obviously cruel until later. So I thought he was a great guy. I had no idea. I've been surrounded by narcissists my entire life. Now that I know, now that I've escaped, I try to help other people recognize it earlier, because if you are with a narcissist, I can tell you, your life is not going to be what it could be. You're going to be a shell of who you could be, and it's the worst experience ever. And I hate to have people think that this is the best that they can do, or they can't do anything else, or they can't leave, because a narcissist makes us so susceptible to whatever they want us to think, and they want us to think that we can't exist without them, or that we are horrible people. Nobody would want to be around us. Like, it's the narcissist or nothing. And we end up counting on the narcissist for our emotional support, when what they're really doing is draining us constantly. So the first sign I'm going to talk about is cruelty. Now, cruelty and narcissism really go hand in hand. I was going to say like peanut butter and jelly, but since I don't like peanut butter and jelly, I'm going to say, how about peanut butter and Nutella? Now, I'm going to define cruelty as willfully and knowingly causing pain and suffering to other people and enjoying it, taking pride in it. You know, I've said this before, so maybe you've heard me say this, that a narcissist doesn't have a conscience and has limited to no empathy. So really think about that. Imagine if you had no empathy, little empathy, whichever you want to say, and no conscience. You would be capable of the most obscene acts of cruelty. You would be, there was nothing that would stop you except the fear of yourself getting into trouble, because you wouldn't care how you're affecting anybody else. It wouldn't matter to you. And if you're a narcissist, it's not even that you don't care. You take pride in it. It makes you feel powerful. Wow, look what I did. I made that person absolutely devastated. Look at them. I'm going to talk about silent treatment in a minute. My ex would give me the silent treatment and really enjoy me squirming. And that's what happens with all these things. So a narcissist, cruelty, they're shockingly cruel, evil. Like I said, my father's a narcissist, my ex is a narcissist, my ex-father-in-law is as well. And I try to bring like a little story to each one just to give you an example. I'm going to tell you something my ex-father-in-law used to do, which really, really, really upset me. So I have 2 kids, and they're older now. They're 19 and 16. But when they were young, like I don't know, 5 and 2, that type of range, my ex-father-in-law, so we'd be eating dinner with them or whatever, and he would always say negative things about my ex-mother-in-law, just all the time. He would say, I'm going to call him B and her C, just so I'm not ex-mother-in-law, ex-father-in-law. So B was horrifically cruel to see. So we'd be eating dinner, and he would start talking to the grandkids, my children, my small children, preschool age children. And he would say to them, don't you think your grandmother's ugly? Don't you think she looks fat? Don't you think she has like a dog face? Hey, some of you know I have a daughter named Paris. Hey, Paris, tell your grandmother that she's fat today. Tell her that you think she's ugly. Like, he would say this, and I was shocked. My father is the type of person where for him, the most important things in life are good looks, being thin, having money, like this type of thing. That's how he was. And he would be, you do not gain weight and hang out with my father. He would definitely tell you, but he doesn't do this type of thing in front of other people, So B, he would do this in front of anybody. He would encourage his little grandchildren to make fun of their grandmother. Now, of course, like, just so you know, I always told him, no, don't you dare do that. And I actually tried to speak to my ex about this, and I told him, I can't have the kids around this, not if this is how he's going to be. Can't you say something to your father? Just like tell him that, he not to say that when we're around. And my ex could not do it. Like, he could not stand up to his father. His father was, the king narcissist. The ex was not going to say anything to him. So we actually ended up not hanging out with them the way that we had. And it wasn't like we hung out with them that often, but they had a beach house at the Cape, and we used to go down there in the summer sometimes, spend some time with them. But I had to stop that because there is no way I was going to have my kids telling their grandmother this. And they didn't, but I didn't want them growing up feeling like this is normal. But this is the type of thing. This impacted them seeing their grandchildren. But, my ex-father-in-law, he didn't care. Like, this is what he wanted to say. He found it funny. So cruelty, that's the first sign to be aware of. The second sign I'm going to talk about is silent treatment. Now, this is a massive red flag. Now, again, I grew up with a narcissist. My father's a narcissist, but he was overt. And in my experience, and maybe it's different, tell me if you've had this experience with an overt, they don't give silent treatments. Overt narcissists like to tell you as much negative information about yourself as they can. They want you to feel bad. They'll tell you you're fat, stupid, ugly, you're a disgrace. Like, that's the type of thing an overt narcissist will do. Covert's a little more subtle, but that's what an overt narcissist does. So they don't give silent treatments because they like to tell you, they don't want to be quiet. They want you to feel miserable. And that's what they're going to do, is make you feel miserable. Covert narcissists, they enjoy silent treatments. Now, this really was the key defining example of what made me recognize narcissism. I started looking up silent treatments. I started Googling silent treatments. I had no idea what a silent treatment was. Now, and I'm not talking about, somebody who maybe they don't talk to you for a day or so, or you're having an argument and they need some distance. I'm talking about somebody who is willfully, maliciously, purposefully ignoring you because they want you to feel pain. And it's kind of like, and it is painful. It's kind of like, you hear about in the prison system, solitary confinement. That's punishment. When you're with a narcissist, a covert narcissist, and they give you a silent treatment, they are enjoying it. This used to utterly devastate me. This is, I'm sure, why my ex kept doing it. It would really affect me to be so ignored, and it would be so blatant too, and also a narcissist will give you a silent treatment when they do something wrong. No, it's never you, because if you do something wrong, they want you to hear about it. They want you to know how stupid you are, or how this you are, or how that you are. Silent treatment, they refuse to speak. So it'd be like, this is what happened with my ex. I would tell him, I wouldn't tell him. He would tell me that he's in credit card debt. He was lying about credit cards. So this happened a couple times in our entanglement. It's a whole other video why I stayed and put up with this, but just for the sake of the silent treatment. So he would tell me that he was $100,000 in credit card debt. And when I was angry about it, he was going to ignore me. Like, he wasn't going to talk about it. He wasn't going to tell me anything. Now, granted, I get it. Like, what's he going to say? You're $100,000 in credit card debt. But still, like, he did this behind my back. We're supposed to be a married couple. He puts my family in jeopardy, me in jeopardy. In fact, if you watch my channel, I'm still affected by his credit card debt, even though I'm trying to get divorced. But he would just ignore me completely. So he would come home from work. He would talk to the kids. I wasn't there. I mean, I might as well have been completely invisible. And when you really think about it, who can do that? If I can't even, if I was angry with Joe, right? Like, just say I'm angry with Joe and I'm upset with something he did. If I saw him absolutely gutted and devastated because of something I did, a reaction I had, I wouldn't be able to keep doing it. I'd feel so bad. My impulse would be to help him, to make him feel better, because I do have empathy, but not a narcissist. If somebody gives you a silent treatment, it is not normal, and it gets worse. I can remember looking at videos on silent treatment, trying to learn about it. Specifically, I was trying to learn how to get the person out of the silent treatment. And I would hear about people that had been given a silent treatment for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. And even that was pretty rare. So I would always think, all right, thank God, it's not going to last that long. It can't keep lasting that long. And at the beginning, they didn't last too long. It was a couple hours, maybe a day as time went on. At the end, my ex gave me a silent treatment. It was actually basically nonstop silent treatments the last 2 years, but there was a time period where he went 7 months without saying a word to me. 7 months. And I used to think how horrible that was. You guys, he gave my kids, his own kids, these aren't just my kids, he gave his own kids a silent treatment for 2 years. If somebody gives you silent treatment, that means that you really, really need to consider not being in that. I don't even say, I was going to say not being in that relationship, not considering it a relationship. All right, the third one I want to talk about is entitlement. So entitlement is believing that you're deserving of privileges or special treatment. The narcissist always puts themselves and their needs, wants, and desires first. And it isn't like anybody else's needs ever matter. The narcissist considers themselves to be the sun, and we're all orbiting around them. My ex used to, whenever he needed something or wanted something, it had to happen. He needed to get it immediately. So if he didn't like the way the printer was working, I need to go buy a new printer right now. I can remember, and this is the thing, like certain things that narcissists do are just, I can't imagine doing this. So my ex was in his 20s. Right? He's a grown man. He's out of college. He's on his own, kind of. Some of you know my ex was always trying to get money from his parents, but he was a grown man. And he went out to the store one time and he saw this leather coat that he really, really wanted. He actually called his mother from the store and told her that he really wanted this coat. And she gave him her credit card to go buy it. And he was a grown man, but this is the type of thing. It's not like, oh yeah, that's a nice coat. Maybe I'll save up for it. It's, I need this right now. I need to have this. I'm going to call mommy, even though I'm 28 years old. Like that's a narcissist. They need it. They're not ashamed of taking something from anybody. It's what they want. It's what they deserve. And they're going to have it now. My ex also, I'll tell you a few other things he decided he needed right away. A riding mower. He had to have a riding mower. It was not possible for him to mow the lawn normally. His riding mower got destroyed. Now the yard, we had a 4-acre yard. However, just to say this, The yard part that we actually mowed the lawn was less than an acre because it was mainly woods. He wanted that riding mower so bad, and it ended up mice destroyed it, and it stopped working. And of course, when my ex and I split up, my son at the time, 13, was doing the lawn himself. He used a push mower and he got the whole lawn done in like a half hour. But for my ex, no, he had to have a riding mower. That's what he deserved. He would need anything that he wanted, he had to get right away. The kids and I, we could wait. We didn't need that. I mean, we're even going so far as to say my ex would tell me, because we were always having money issues. I didn't always know this, but he was constantly racking up credit cards debt and not telling me. Then he would call his parents, have them paid off, and it was like a constant cycle. So he was aware that money was tight, but not for himself. Just for the kids, just for me, just for the animals. We don't need this, we don't need that. But he lost 10 pounds. He needs to get some new shirts. He needs some new shirts because he needs to look good at work. Like that type of thing. All right. So entitlement, that's another one. They think, believe, and know that they're better than you. And they come first always. That's not normal to do that. So 3 things so far, right? Cruelty, silent treatment, entitlement. The 4th one I'm going to talk about is the difference in their behavior from inside the house and outside the house. Narcissists are very different to other people than they are to you and me. Now, at first, when we first meet the narcissist, of course, they're putting on their show. They're pretending to be somebody else. They want us to be convinced they're somebody else because they have plans for us. Remember, they're like the Dementor. They're planning to destroy us. So they need to make us want to be with them first so that they can be in close proximity. You know, they're baiting us. A narcissist, though, when it comes to other people, always maintain that mask. Eventually with us, it falls off and we see who they really are. Eventually, they will be a completely different person to you and their family than anybody else. You know, like I said, my father is a narcissist, and there were people, my mother told me the story one time, that she went to some work function of his, and she said, you know, people were telling her, oh, you know, I'm not going to say my father's name, I'm just going to call him Jason. It's not his name. Oh, Jason is such a wonderful person. He must be such a great, fun to hang out with, or this and that. He doesn't tell what he does. Sorry, stumbled over myself. He would be at the house telling us how fat somebody is at work or making fun of them. This same person would tell my mother, oh, he's so nice. He's such a great guy. And my mother was like, I couldn't believe they said that. They don't know him at all. Now, of course, this is because we didn't know narcissism at the time. It was just, why is he so different with other people than with us? It was like a confusion. Of course, the same thing happened with my ex. At first, he was so nice, so wonderful. So he was like this perfect boyfriend. Then things changed. And, you know, because think about how exhausting it would be if you were always trying to be somebody else, right? Always. Think about sometimes, right? Like, this is, sorry guys. But if I'm, during the day, like, I can't wait to come home at the end of the day and take my bra off and take my shoes off and get on my comfy clothes. You know, it's kind of like that, I think, with the narcissist. They want to take that bra off. They want their comfy clothes. They want to be who they are. And you have a role in their life. Your role is to cater to them, to take care of them, to be, you know, the dumping ground for the narcissist. Whatever it is they need, that's what you're supposed to do. So they'll give you things initially, right? But eventually they are going to be who they really are with you and different with everybody else. That's a very difficult thing to deal with, because what ends up happening is then afterwards, right, when everything goes south and you're trying to tell somebody some of the things that happened, what are you talking about? He's such a great guy, or she's so wonderful. Are you sure you're talking about the same person? That's not who I know. And regular, normal people are going to think that it's crazy to assume that somebody, it's almost like they have a split personality. It must be me. It must be you. Just exaggerating or just being upset in that moment. That's not really how they are. You know, my ex my kids would go to a youth group at the church before they had a license. And my ex would take them down there sometimes, but when he would take them down, it was always on a Sunday night, and he would offer to take other kids. So the other parents were like, wow, he's such a great guy. They had no idea, neither did I, that he was drinking and driving their kids and my kids to the church dead drunk, but being very different. If you're confused, if people tell you things about the narcissist that you know are not who they really are, That is something to really consider. All right, and the fifth one. This is the surprising one, or it was to me anyways. The fifth sign that you're with a covert narcissist is you change. Now, I'm not talking about you changing for the better, you having this wonderful existence and, now like you're different than you used to be, you've improved, you're really working on yourself. No, I mean you become a shell of who you used to be. You don't recognize yourself anymore. I changed so much in that marriage. It's almost like, I heard this thing about women one time, and I think this is true. So your moms tell me, once we have kids, we use our kids as markers for certain events. So if I said to you, like I used to live in Massachusetts, then I moved to New Hampshire, and now I'm living in Ohio. So when I moved, if I'm talking about something that happened that, in New Hampshire, I'd be like, all right, well, we moved, let's see, Paris was 12 when we moved. So it's that type of thing. Oh, we went on vacation. Oh yeah, we went to Yellowstone. My son was 10 at that time, right? So it's like, that's just like a natural thing that you do. Well, it's kind of like that too when it comes to you changing, right? It's like that type of change where all of a sudden it's like you are a completely different person than you used to be, but in a negative way. You don't recognize yourself anymore. You don't know yourself. So, like I said, you have this existence, like if you're a mom from when your child are born, that's your marker. When it comes to the narcissist, eventually it's almost like you didn't have an existence prior to the narcissist. That's how I feel sometimes. It's like when I think about my life, it's never when I'm a child or it's never when I was in school. It's always like kind of from the narcissist forward. And I'm still in the process of recovering from that, becoming a better person from that, changing my life from that. Changing and becoming a shell of yourself. It's not normal in a relationship. Like Joe and I, part of our relationship, part of the things that's important to us is being the best people we can be, encouraging each other, helping each other, not lashing out at each other, not one of us having all this power and just like destroying the other one. That's what a narcissistic relationship is like. That was his relationship with his ex, my relationship with my ex, probably yours with your narcissist. They turn us into fearful beings. I mean, remember, I'm telling you at the beginning, they're like a dementor. They're sucking all the joy out of your life. You don't have that anymore. So you're starting a new life with no joy, no happiness, no peace, just fear, misery, trauma. So you change. If that's you, if you don't recognize yourself, you don't remember being a different way, that is not a good sign. So here are the 5 signs of covert narcissism that we're going to talk about today. We have cruelty, silent treatment, entitlement, different behavior when they're with you and with other people, and you change. Now, the good news in all this is that you, me, people who aren't narcissists, who don't have a personality disorder, can continue to change. You can thrive after narcissistic abuse. But the longer you're with a narcissist, the longer you are being abused by this entity, the harder it's going to be. But it's kind of like, it's memory. It's, what's it called? Not memory loss. It's muscle memory. Sorry. Like if you have a baby, right? Like when I was pregnant, I thought I'm just overweight now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm never going to snap back, but I did. I snapped back, right? Because you have muscle memory. It's like that. And your brain, like it remembers, it can change, it can thrive, it can adapt. Even when you've been through something bad, as long as you have an ability to really contemplate yourself or to see yourself accurately and to want to change. So it can get better. However, if you're dealing with this now, there's like, you can't just skip to the end. I mean, that's the thing. And it's hard when you're dealing with a narcissist. You've been through hell. You now are recovering from trauma. But for the scope of this video, if you see any of these signs, please reconsider the situation that you are in, because you deserve to have a good life. You deserve to be loved the way that you love. I always think that in a relationship, that you deserve in a relationship what you are willing to give. So think about it. What are you willing to give, and what is the narcissist willing to give? Do they match together? Do you deserve this? If you're with a narcissist, no, you do not. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to all my US viewers. I hope everybody has a great day. Joe told me that he is, neither of us are working tomorrow, so he said he wants to do a video, so we'll see. Joe might be here with me on Friday. All right, guys, I gotta go. I gotta work in a little bit. I gotta get this edited and all this, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you Friday. God bless.